Hey, good morning. It's Fort Worth Playboy, and welcome to Fort Worth Playboy's morning show. It's Monday morning, April 15th, 2024, and I'm glad you're here. What we talk about or what we cover on the Fort Worth Playboy's morning show is mostly those things that you can apply today tactically to your game, relationships, pickup, sex, anything to improve those four big areas of your life. That's what we do. We fall under the red pill, which is a huge umbrella that includes like MGTOW and men's rights movements and the dynamics of intersexual dynamics. But at the end of the day, when you come to mine or Bunny's timeline, we try to stay in our lane, stay on topic of the focus of improving your game, pickup, relationships, and your sex life. And we try to stay out of the gossip. We try to stay out of the debates. It's not something that I'm particularly good at, but I am good at getting guys that aren't getting laid to moving girls from complete strangers to in his bed and naked pretty consistently and reliably with girls that he finds attractive. And that's what we're good at. And Bunny's good at coaching people into making the most out of that time in the bedroom. So that is what we're here for. We usually start off with a maxim, and let me get this screen up. It's Monday. I've been off for like 2 days, so I'm not quite as quick as I will be tomorrow. So maxim number 14, very early on. Again, Chateau had about 200 of these. And this is at least in the top 10. Whenever you're at a loss for what to say to a girl you like, imagine you're a man in bed with 3 beautiful women. Then say what that man would say. You have to be irrationally self-confident. And a sense of desperation is what comes across that turns women off. So again, act as if you can imagine yourself climbing out of bed with 3 women, and imagine how you would feel and how satisfied you would be, how confident you would be, and how sure of yourself. That's how you want to carry yourself throughout the day in front of other women. And they pick up on that. And again, it's one thing to do it, and that's part of the process, to hook up with 2 or 3 women at one time. It's not that unusual for players. And then you see what he's talking about here is the ridiculous amount of you're sexually satisfied, you're completely confident in yourself, you have no real wants, you can satisfy more than one woman at a time. All these things, as you carry yourself through the day, put you completely different than the guy who hasn't been laid in a year, or the wife has said no for the last 3 years. Your mind is just going to be different. So the best thing about game is you can fake it till you make it. Your brain can, by using your imagination and putting yourself in that mind space, you can carry yourself like a man who just got out of bed with 3 women. And that is how you know what to say. Again, it takes practice, but it works. And even if you're like, if you're used to having you're pretty smooth and things tend to go well for you when it comes to women, and you're having like a strikeout streak, or you're missing and it's been 3 or 4 girls in a row, quite often it's just a matter of resetting your mind to what you're capable of, and knowing that that's what you're capable of is that highest level of performance. So whenever you're at a loss for what to say to a girl you like, imagine you're a man in bed with 3 beautiful women, and say what that man would say. You cannot go wrong. It does take some practice. You can fake it till you make it, and girls are not mind readers. She can't tell the truth from, a lie. And they really don't want to know. They just want to have fun. So that's how you carry yourself through the day. And you keep that in mind. You also stand taller, keep your chest up. You'll carry yourself better. You'll move slower. That's better. There's no downside. So Maxim 14. And if you're interested in any of these Maxims, they're in the best of Chateau Artiste, 1, 2, which is want to meet, bang, pick up, and date more and better girls. You start here. And I think I had a sale over the weekend on these at 20% off. So if you're on my newsletter, that's in your mailbox right now. So if you're interested, all 200 Maxims are in each of these books. I kind of started the books with the Maxims because they're foundational. That and a personality test. So if that's interesting to you, just check your email. And if you're not on my newsletter, by all means, get on my newsletter. And I will leave a link underneath this video when we're done here that you can join my newsletter. And it goes out probably 6 days a week, sometimes 7. I try to get something out every day. If you would like to ask a question, you'll have to go to YouTube. If you put it under Twitter, I won't be able to see it until after the program. So if you have a question you want answered live on the broadcast, just go to Twitter and you can ask there and I'll be able to see it and do my very best to answer it. We're kind of going backwards. The sisterhood preaches leveraging sex for commitment. The sisterhood does not like players, men who get sex with no commitment. Again, this is one of those reasons that a lot of times your girlfriend or a girl that you're seeing, her friends won't like you because you're getting sex with little or no commitment. And they don't like that because most girls are taught by their moms and by the sisterhood itself to leverage sex for commitment. How many times have you started dating a girl in that first 3 to 6 months? It's hot and heavy. And Bunny's good at discerning this stuff. She's the one that's good about pointing out so much of this. She goes out hot and heavy, sex whenever you want, whatever you want to do, whenever, wherever. And then at about 3 to 6 months, she starts tapering it off, becomes a little less frequent, a little less creative, a little less interesting, to all the way to where you're like 2 or 3 years in and you're having sex like once a week or once a month, not as often as you'd like, but she's completely fine. And she has a boyfriend, and now you've got a girlfriend and a questionable sex life. The sisterhood preaches leveraging sex for commitment, and that's what she did. But the sisterhood doesn't like players, which is men who get sex with little or no commitment. Again, they want those 3 dates, those 5 dates. They want that ring on the finger. And then you've got this small group of men who know how to play the game that are getting sex for nothing. And they're getting sex from multiple girls for nothing. And so that's why a lot of times your girlfriends won't like you. And there's always the fact of crabs in a bucket, that as a crab's trying to crawl out of the bucket, the other crabs will grab it and pull it back down. And it's like, it's one of these, one of the comments that was along this line of women who don't, your girlfriend's friends are not your friends was the topic. And it said, overweight single women who may be your girlfriend's friends don't like seeing her happy. They want more, what do you say? Misery loves company. And therefore they will pull her back in. So you have to be careful who you allow around your girlfriend. And it's funny because you'll see like married couples, later in life. And I discovered this late, like in my 40s, it's like if a girl gets divorced, sometimes she kind of gets squeezed out of her group of married women. intentionally or unintentionally, simply because they have less in common. And it's kind of like a destabilizing effect. And I don't know how intentional it is, because I'm not privy to those conversations. But sometimes you'll see that. But for lifetime friends, girls can be loyal to each other, but the larger groups will squeeze girls out if there's a change in their relationship status. But again, it's who do they have things in common with. But your girlfriend's friends are not necessarily your friends or your supporter. They won't ever put it in front of you, but the more of a player you are or have the capability of being, the less they're going to like you. And that's okay. That's part of the game. So the sisterhood preaches leveraging sex for commitment. Just know that. But the sisterhood doesn't like players, men who get sex for no commitment. That's the real deal. And let's see what else we got. This is something that is fundamental to dating. If you're looking for a girlfriend, if you're looking for a wife, when you find a girl you like, but you haven't had sex with her yet, do not put all your eggs in one basket. Keep seeing other girls. It will keep your game sharp and your sex drive satisfied. Again, and this is universal, and you'll hear dating coaches, pickup guys, PUAs, I guess anyone that deals with this level of interpersonal relationships. When a guy comes up and he says, hey, I'm having trouble with this one girl, and he's never had sex with her, 100% of the guys that have been around will say, you need to start seeing more girls. Because that sentence alone means you're too focused in on this one girl that hasn't really returned any investment, hasn't actually, you're interested, but she hasn't shown any interest or put any skin in the game yet. And therefore, you should treat her like you treat everyone else that you haven't had sex with. Again, this is 100%. Everybody goes through this. They focus in too much on one girl while kind of not talking to the other. They start focusing in before they should, before she's invested in them, before they've had sex 3 or 4 times. Then he can kind of decide, what do I want to do? Do I have time to see other women? But find a girl you like but haven't fucked her yet. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And there's 2 sides to this too. One is when you start focusing in on her, you start making mistakes, and men tend to default towards action. So you start discerning what she means, what she's doing. When was the last time she contacted you? What are you going to do here? What if this happens? And you tend to reach out to her and use too many words and contact her too much, and it drives her away. Whereas if you're seeing 3 or 4 girls and you're kind of juggling them and you're sleeping with 1 or 2 of them, and you've got one you're meeting tomorrow night, and then you're meeting this girl in 2 days, you're so busy you don't really think about it. But it gives her time to think about you. That's where we say less is more when it comes to game. When you are running multiple girls and you contact them as you can, it tends to hit that sweet spot. It tends to hit just right where you're busy and you're actually juggling other women, which gives you a continence. Your personality is going to be different than if you're just waiting. You're dealing with one girl. You put all of your money on this one race, as opposed to you kind of spread it out, which means you can risk it and you're more relaxed about it. and there's less chance of you taking a big hit. And that's how you do it until you see a girl that you like investing back in you and actually, having sex, and you're starting to pick up momentum, and she will bring it up. She'll bring up the relationship talk. It'll be on her. You focus in on meeting up, having fun, making sex happen. Let her take care of relationship stuff. She'll bring it to you. And that's how you do it. Keep seeing other girls until she says, hey, what are we? Or where's this going? And if you want to pursue it further, you can. And if you just want to keep it casual, convey that. Again, keep seeing other girls. It will keep your game sharp and your sex drive satisfied. What you don't want to do is come across as desperate or have that smell of not getting laid. And girls can pick that up consciously and unconsciously when you don't try to counter that. You want to cover it up. If you're not getting laid, you act like you're getting laid. She can't tell the difference, believe it or not. So that's the real deal. Find a girl you like, but haven't fucked her yet. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. Keep seeing other girls. It will keep your game sharp and your sex drive satisfied. Asshole game. This is very important, and it's in my book from Chateau on how to be an asshole. It's better to go out with too much asshole game and then tab it back than to go out with too little and have to amp it up. It's better to go out, and it's easier to be nicer later than the opposite. And this is true. And again, girls, if you go out a little bit over the top with the asshole game, yes, every once in a while, you're going to blow a girl out. She's going to be super nice, super sensitive, not her thing, and that's okay. That's just the way some girls, and not many, but a few, are wired. But you're going to attract more, and you can always tab it back a little bit. It's way harder to go out nice, relatively, and then have to amp it up midpoint because it's less natural. It makes her kind of whip. Where's this coming from? When you go out with asshole game, she's intrigued, she's engaged, and if you show any levity or any humaneness or anything that's not asshole game, she considers it a positive thing. Whereas if you open up nice, the asshole game seems incongruent. So that's what we know. Go a little bit more in the opening until you kind of get a feel for, like, again, with asshole game, it's you gauge it according to the girl that's in front of you. And if it wasn't a Monday morning, I could remember the right word, but you just adjust the level of game to the person that's in front of you. And I'm blanking out this morning, which the word will come to me after we're off the air. But again, it's one of those things that people that are outside of game, they go, oh, the guy's an asshole. But the asshole is able to adjust it according to his target, the girl that's in front of him, his audience. And it hits just right after you've practiced this stuff for a while. And it's not that hard to do. You learn pretty quick just about what each girl needs. And you can't guess. You kind of have to feel them all out. You'll never, your most average, middle of the road, you're like, this girl probably couldn't take a lot of it. Sometimes needs more asshole than the hotter girl. You just really do have to take it on a case-by-case basis. And then once you've been doing this for a while, you'll have better instincts and know where to hit it. And again, you'll be more flexible and be able to move it, change it up on the fly. And only by doing this And only by knowing how to run asshole game and being confident in yourself and running asshole game can you run it well. And the vast majority, and I mean like 80, 90% of men could use a little bit of asshole game in their life. And it doesn't mean it has to be your entire personality, but it's just this one thing in your arsenal that works with so many women. And it's so powerful. It's kind of like we say, it works for all women most of the time. So that's how you have to, I mean a very small percentage just don't react to it, and that's fine. They're wired different, and it doesn't mean better or worse. It has no, they weren't raised by single mothers or by two parents. There's no congruency there. You can't predict it until you get in front of them and you're actually talking to them. So it's better to go out with too much asshole game and tab it back than to go out with too little and have to amp it up. One works, one doesn't. You don't have to ask why. You just have to know that that's how it works. That way you save yourself time of not going out too soft and then having to amp it up on the back end. And you're like, oh shit, I'm running behind. Bunny can help you if you have if you are struggling with online dating, she can help you. She has, I think it's a magic bullet guide to online dating. And in there, you can improve your profile and your text game to get girls. But mostly she focuses in on improving your profile so you start getting matches. Because without matches, you're not going to have any conversation with anybody. And 95% of getting online dating matches is having great pictures. There's like 6 or 7 categories of pictures that they found through research and through, on the ground that tend to work best, that kind of show who you are and tend to attract women best. And there's even some of the larger cities, I know Austin, DFW, LA, and New York, of course, and Chicago. There are people that do very specifically, they take, just like wedding photographers, they do online dating photography. They'll tell you what to wear, where to meet, and they get those 7 or 8 categories like action shot, when you're studying a book or, reading, looking at a tourist site, different situations they're really good at not making it look like you did a photo shoot, and then don't be cheap with your sex life. This is one of those things that people go, and they're not getting any matches and they got money in the bank, but they're not meeting any women. And one thing I want to convey with online dating is when you hear guys shit on online dating, just like almost anything else, they probably weren't very good at it. And therefore, they shit on it. I've lost track, 50, 100 people that I know that got married from dating online. That doesn't include the tens of thousands of men that I've known that got laid off of online dating. So it is the number one place that people meet and hook up and build relationships today. So to shit on it and throw it out is throwing out 70% of the market. So you have to look, and again, I always think that guys that shit on it, there's 2 things. They weren't good at it, and they also are in an environment that allows them to meet girls in their day-to-day life. Not, if a guy works on an oil rig and he's in the field 2 weeks and he's home for 2 weeks and his hobbies are hunting and fishing and he lives in a town of 500 that he grew up in, well, where the fuck's he going to meet any women? Where's a guy who lays asphalt and he's at QT at 4 a.m. getting breakfast, lunch, and dinner with his coworkers, and he doesn't have any hobbies. He doesn't go anywhere. He knows his mom. He might not see a girl that's eligible and dateable for weeks or months at a time because of his job and his interests. You're going to have to use online dating. So quite often guys that shit on online dating they're a bartender, they work in a restaurant, they're in a city, they're on a college campus. But if you're not none of those things, you have to rely on something that will help you reach 70% of the market. So 95% of getting online dating matches is having great pictures. And the guys that struggle at this the most are the guys that like probably could use it the most. You know, guys that haven't taken a picture since high school, you know, they haven't written a sentence since high school. That's asking a lot for a guy to build a profile with pictures and a profile, especially up against guys that run a pretty tight Instagram, or they, you know, they're copywriters, or they write for a living, or they're in marketing, all kinds of things that give them a strategic advantage. So the guys that need this most are usually the last ones to actually think about it and actually pull the trigger on it. But if you're in that middle ground and you're aware, game aware, like you are now, if you're watching this, getting those pictures right, that's it. That's all you got. You can write, you know, I'm a serial killer, and they'll still contact you if the pictures are good. So just know that. And Bunny's book, The Magic Bullet Guide to Online Dating Profile, and she has a free, when you purchase the book, she'll also take time to look at your profile and help you adjust that. You know, like if you get it together, you can run it by her and she'll go yay or nay and what changes you need to make. So that's the real deal. I'm about to cut out of here, and I hope you have a good day. I hope you've taken some value from the show. I hope you grab that Maxim. And I hope you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time.